at the end of the day, nobody's going to care about your career more than you. I mean, somebody
Yeah.
can maybe, but like it's just instinctual. It's just we're animals at heart, and I just think that we take care of our own first, and we kind of take care of ourselves first. And if you're in charge of your career, not saying you can't delegate, not saying you can't have people help you or learn from other people, but it's so frustrating, like you said, like not, you feel bad having to blame somebody, or you just don't wrong and you don't learn from the failures because they're not your own, they're somebody else's.
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 432 of the podcast. Wonderful episode for you today. Only two, well, counting this one, 2 episodes left in year 7, and then we move on to year 8 of the podcast. I'm super excited. As always, I have to say that, message of the podcast, if you are human and you have a heartbeat and blood and all that, you should treat other humans the same. Treat them like they're human. We all come from different backgrounds, but at the end of the day, we all share this big blue planet of ours. So treat your fellow neighbor with kindness and respect. And pandemic's slowing down finally, but if you're not up to it, if you're not feeling safe going out, wear a mask. No one's gonna say anything. All right, so be kind and courteous to others and wear a damn mask. Message of the podcast. My guest today is a returning guest, phenomenal guy, Rob Lundy from the band THRILLCHASER. He's back, and I'm super excited to chat with him. Rob and I have stayed in contact since we chatted last time, and I have so much respect for this man, and I'm so excited that THRILLCHASER is back making music right now. They have 2 singles out called Fantasy and Game, and they have another one coming out at the beginning of July called Wrong Tonight. And I would recommend picking up those songs, listening to them, sharing them. Hell, if you want to, I don't know. I already said sharing them. So just do that. There you go. Because this is a phenomenal band and very lovely, beautiful people on this band. But I'm done talking because I actually want you guys to hear this conversation with Rob. All right, so everybody sit back, relax, and Rob, take it away. Rob, what's going on?
Dude, not much. I was thinking I was early for once. I was gonna text you and be
like, well, see, I was thinking I was gonna be late for once because I was just like, man, I'll show up when I show up. But
I'm awful. I'm never on time for anything. I'm always fashionable. It's late.
No worries. It's we evened each other out, so it's fine.
Yeah, we actually met each other in the middle. Ended up right on time. That's sick.
But how's your day going, dude?
Dude, my day's going well, man. I kind of woke up and just kind of did some stuff for the band, like as far as going through some emails and just sort of doing some things on the business end. And, now I'm here chatting with you for the first time. And, well, I mean, obviously we've talked off the show time since, but, first time on the show in, I think, about 2 years.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was thinking about that literally right before I joined the call. I was just kind of thinking how different the band is from the first time we chatted.
Incredible.
And I think it's a fantastic change that you all have made.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we're really appreciative. Like there's been a great outpouring of, everybody just keeping an open mind and really being receptive to the new sound and the new lineup. And it's been really positive. So it's like something I'm very, very thankful for. And it's just like, it's so good to be releasing music again because, you go through a big member change, you change a lead singer. That's already, a hiccup enough in the road of a band, but it's overcome it. But then everybody in the world had to deal with the pandemic, and this album, the future of it was in question. So to actually be like, all right, we're back to normal, so to speak, at least in terms of releasing this album, we're not giving up, we're not done. And that feels great, man. I'm just like, I don't know, not taking it for granted at all. Not that I had a habit of doing that in the past, but definitely soaking in just the experience. And even though it gets a little stressful sometimes, or a little hectic, like trying to market everything and whatnot, it's just so good to be doing stuff again.
So had the pandemic, you touched upon the pandemic. Had it not
Correct.
hit, would the album came out earlier, or was it just that thing
Yeah.
of you? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if
Well,
you guys were just kind of toying
no,
with.
so not only that, I mean, the pandemic, like it's weird to say this in a way, like it made us rethink and I think ultimately end up with a better strategy for releasing this album.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like we definitely had some different plans that when we finished the album a couple months before that all hit. So we were on the record, we were starting to get the visual element of it knocked out. And we had like certain plans in place that, we had to adjust and we had to change and, kind of, if anything, we ended up with more content at the end of it because we had more time sitting on the album to have more videos and artwork and all that stuff made. But we definitely kind of had to pump the brakes and realize like, we can't just do what we did a few years ago with our first record. We gotta think differently and we gotta approach this differently and market ourselves differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. Obviously, again, was it easier to kind of shift gears as far as promoting whenever the album is radically different than the first one?
Yeah, I think it was just because, I mean, like, I think our first album was totally cool, but, and that's no disrespect to anybody who worked on it and whatever. But I think what this album does better is there's more cohesiveness and more uniformity between all of the songs, where I think our first album, it was kind of tough. Like some of the songs were like more synthy. Some of the songs were more like rock. Some were more like just kind of like upbeat, almost like singer-songwriter pop. So I find that marketing this album, obviously hindsight is 2020, like things that didn't work for the first record, we're not doing again. But this seems to just be able to catch on easier. And I just think because between the imagery and the sound of the singles we've released so far and the rest of the songs on the album, it's just a lot more honed in and people are going to just kind of not necessarily like know what to expect. But I think sometimes if you throw too many curveballs, like rock, pop, whatever, like you sometimes wear people out. Sometimes people just want one vibe and they want to coast.
Right. And I'm a fan of obviously with you guys, you are very skilled musicians and singers, songwriters, all that. But I could see how, okay, let's see what sticks might be a little bit of a kind of exhausting, not and also for you guys, because it's just like we're still trying to find our voice, and that must also be kind of
a big reason for the difference in sound between our first record and our second record. It's like, as a band, prior to this, we, our old singer and Nikki and myself were in a band called American Wolves, and we're kind of coming off the heels of that band ending, and we were changing course. And so like a lot of the songs on the THRILLCHASER record, some of them were American Wolves demos that were repurposed and kind of brought back. So there was a lot of like, I don't know, like there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen on the first record.
Gotcha.
Sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen fucks everything up, or whatever they said.
Right.
Right. But, you know, with this record, it was just like all written in the course of like 11 months. There were no outside co-writers. It was just, you know, like me, a MacBook, Nikki, Chris, and our producer Taylor, and you know, obviously his grand studio. But it literally all started with me going out on a limb and at first just buying a MacBook and demoing out some of what would become these songs on the album. So it grew over time too, as we were writing. The home studio grew, and we learned a lot making this album, and there's definitely more to come.
And you know, and not to, you know, I just got to assume that also, without having too many cooks in the kitchen, you guys being free to do your own thing, you guys probably came together a lot closer out of it, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's not to say like the album was with its challenges personally. Like we definitely had tension in the group as far as like, you know, when we initially kind of like reformed under this lineup and we just started writing for this album, yeah, it's like honeymoon phase, right? But, you know, being in you know, definitely it wasn't like, you know, a big fairy tale making the album. We were stressed out. We felt pressure at times, but ultimately we overcame it. And I think we were better and closer for it. Absolutely. But yeah, like the first album, you know, there were just a lot of different opinions or a lot of different phases of our band history that kind of culminated in that. And that was like a very diverse catalog of sound, but harder to market. And I think this album is more honed in. A lot of, you know, if you listen through the full record, you hear, oh, wow, like I heard like this weird sound brought back from this song. And there's a lot of, you know, callbacks and a lot of, like I said, uniformity between the tracks. Not that they all sound the same, but that they all come from the same time frame, the same mentality, and the same heart.
Okay. With you know, getting, as you said, getting the opportunity to just kind of bring things from other songs, you know, and kind of play around with that. Are you worried about playing these songs live in front of people?
No. If anything, I feel like we've actually, I mean, prior to the pandemic and all that, we've gone and we've rehearsed through the album, and you know, we figured out, hey, like, how are we going to pull off this song or whatever? Because yeah, in some ways, a more electronic sound, you would think it's less performative. Like, how do you pull it off live without being phony? But you know, in Thrill Chaser, I've always balanced both bass guitar and keyboards. So, you know, honestly, just live this time around, I play a little bit more keys, but you know, I still rip both the bass and the keys, and pulling it off live hasn't really been a concern. I actually think it's been easier because we just had so much more to do as a band. Like I said, less cooks in the kitchen. Like we wrote these songs, built them ourselves from the ground up, all within the span of a recent time frame. It's like we knew them like the back of our hand before we even started rehearsing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's been fascinating during this whole pandemic, chatting with musicians, and just the number one thing that I get from people is that, oh man, we did this song, we went no holds barred, you know, blah blah blah, and I go, oh
yeah,
so is that going to be hard to play live? We're still trying to figure that out. We don't know yet. We might need 20 people, and on one hand, I think, oh, that's pretty cool, but also, oh, that's scary to be in that position.
Listen, I've been in that position. I mean, there are songs on this record. There were songs on the first record where I was like, wow, okay, I got to go home and practice. If I'm live. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you do things in the studio, especially me. Dude, I play keyboards, synthesizers. We all know that I'm programming half that stuff, and then I'm figuring out how to play it after the fact. I mean, that's just how it goes in a lot of modern music. But there's, you know, there's so much, like, we've just had our time to really figure out, like, okay, like, we're going to put this part on the backing tracks, and we'll play this part live. And we know how to pull off the electronicness with the live band and not have it come off as phony, not have it come off as like, if our backing track shut off, like, oh wow, it was like karaoke the whole time, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like that. But I've been in positions or had anxiety going into, you know, prior to rehearsing and figuring it out, like, oh my god, are we gonna am I going to look like a fool? I got to go home and practice. And I think every musician goes through that. And if not, I mean, they're just cooler than me. And I wish I could be like that, but that's not me.
No, and well, it says also a lot to your musical ability to be able to learn as you go, especially
Absolutely.
the parts. Yeah, I on you. I'm not a musician per se, but yeah,
Right.
I would be freaking out, and then I would get in my head, and that would be the end of that. I wouldn't be able to do it. So, props to you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you create a lot of interesting sounds, a lot of effects at your disposal, and things in the studio that live, it's like, all right, well, how do you replicate that? But getting through that and finding your way of pulling it off live, whether it sounds exactly like it does on the record or better or different or whatever, that kind of makes you grow as a musician. And that's kind of how I've gotten so much, better as a player over time. I'm not saying I'm a virtuoso or anything, but compared to where I was, is just throwing myself in over my head, playing with people who flat out, I'll say it, were more talented than me early on in my career, and learning that way. I mean, you got to kind of sink or swim, and it's music. I mean, most people figure out how to swim. It's not, yeah, it's not that. It's not the army, but
and another thing I've been very curious about: how much sleep do you get?
Oh, dude. That varies because I just have such a weird sleep schedule. I used to be the kind of person that was up till 6 a.m. and
Yeah.
sleeping at noon or even, dusk at times. And I've kind of just alternated to where, I don't know, like today I got up at 10 a.m. I mean, the day before I got up at like 1 p.m. I mean, it really depends. Like I kind of sometimes take naps during the day. Sometimes I just wake up and my mind is going now. And I don't know if
Mm.
that's maybe because I'm doing music stuff again or what. Maybe when I had less going on, it was a lot easier to shut my eyes and go back to bed without looking at my phone. But that is, that's, I sleep a healthy amount. I'm definitely not too exhausted. I've been taking actually really good care of myself. I got to say,
That's
I mean,
good.
I used to eat like shit, and I've really, really cleaned up my act, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, okay, so for the people at home who don't know, Rob, he does everything business wise. And as
Right.
far as the management goes, I've worked with you and it's been wonderful. And just the amount of hustling you do is just, it blows my mind. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough.
Uh,
Um,
well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And I mean, honestly, like working with you was great. I was so, I'm so happy to actually say that I'm able to grow Instagram accounts and all that again after, the madness that was the marketing shutdown of 2019. And we saw
yeah.
Instagram tighten up, but yeah, that's a whole other story. But yeah, dude, I mean, I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I really, I don't know. Sometimes, honestly, I feel like I have to put one thing down and pick something up, and then I'm juggling to try and like, all right, well, I was setting up Facebook advertising. Now I got to remember how to play my instrument. I mean, it's not that
Right.
bad, but I mean, that is an inevitability, dude. Like, even if it's just things I enjoy, like, oh shit, I haven't played video games in a week or something like that. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, these are the sacrifices you make, small and large. And I just enjoy being in a band. I like being a solo artist, like not hating on the idea of that. Like that's never been my thing. I love being part of a team, and I
Mhm.
love like being an integral part of a team, and it makes me feel fulfilled to wake up and know that there's emails to be sent, that there's things to do, and that there's a way to, if it's a little bit or a lot of it, push this thing up the hill and try to get over the hump and try to get to where I want to be in life. I mean, I learned too, just as I've gotten older, is, the favors don't go around like they used to, man. I mean,
Mm.
back in my old bands, I mean, it's like, sign us, whatever, it's not like that anymore. You got to make your own path more or less. And I mean, I should have been making my own path earlier in my career, but you can't turn back time. I'm just doing everything I can to try to have as much control and try to, get to where I want this band to be, and get to where not only I want to be, but I want to take care of the people in the band. I want to take
Yeah.
care of Nick and Chris. I want to see them happy too. And I want to see everybody excited, and not that we aren't, but you know what it is when things start blowing up, it feels extra good. And that's where I want to be. And thankfully, like I said, since we've come back, it's been very positive. So I'm happy about that.
From when you started, really learning the business side to
Of course.
today, has it? Have you seen? Has it? Obviously, you're living, you're gaining more experience, but has it just been easier or even more challenging now that you're on your own and you don't have, I don't know, some corporate suit and ties with you?
No, absolutely. I mean, it comes with like it's both. I mean, it's easier in some ways because I mean, the buck stops with me.
Hmm.
Like, dude, I've been in a position with bands where I'm biting my fingernails because we had a photo shoot, and the one photo I look like a doofus in is the one that the manager and everybody else likes. And it's like, great, now this on my social media, never gonna get a girlfriend. You know what I mean? It's a spiral of young musician self-hatred, right? But no, I'm saying like in this day and age, handling more than I did earlier in my career, it's like, yeah, there's more control. There's a lot more responsibility and pressure. Like if something gets screwed up, I can't really like turn to anybody and go, "Oh, you dumbass." I mean, it's on me, right? So
Right.
I have to own a lot of accountability
Hmm.
and realize. I mean, it's like a full-time job, but you do something that you love. It doesn't really feel like work. I mean, dude, I get pissed off. I get not really about the music. I mean, when you're trying to just market things and Facebook advertising is crazy and all that whole that rabbit hole. It's like, yeah, dude, I get discouraged. I get mad. I get writer's block. I get whatever. But um, at the end of the day, like not being my own man, so to speak. I mean, I'm in the band. It's not just me, but having more control, not kind of having to answer to like a manager or not really being like I've been in a position where I'm in a band and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm kind of lucky to be here and everybody in the group is more talented than me. So,
Hmm.
knowing like, hey, I don't want to get kicked out, like having more control, having everything, it's kind of worth the responsibility in the end for me.
Hmm.
I that makes me sound like a control freak. Maybe that makes me sound paranoid, but that's I take care of the people in the band. I take care of myself, the band, and I keep an open, transparent book with all my clients, with everything. It's not a thing of like, oh, I got to handle the band and handle everything because I want to run everything myself like a madman. It's more just I've been burned in the past. I've had people take my money and run, so to speak, and not get shit in return for promised things. So I mean, it's just an industry of people preying upon desperate musicians or just things fall through. It's just an industry of like weird people. I mean, we're not shoe salesmen. We're not in a corporate office. We're not, you can't really file a complaint. I mean, you can, but who's going to listen?
Right, right, right. But I totally get what you're saying. Being a one person, operation, I always like the responsibility of doing everything myself, and like you said, not because it's a control freak thing. I want the responsibility on myself for if something fails, I would feel bad to blame somebody else. I would
Yeah.
rather blame myself and be like, okay, well, I did this. How do I fix it? Versus, Joe messed it up. Now, what do we do? Because
Yeah.
I
Damage control. And yeah, it's
for Joe, notorious for messing things up. I don't know why I ask him back, but he's here. No, but
go.
it's that, especially when it comes to video projects, and like I just want the satisfaction of knowing I would be happy with zero praise and all the blame. I know that sounds weird, but that's just how I feel the most comfortable.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you and I are very similar in that regard. And yeah, duh. I'm thinking like, dude, you run this show on your own. It's not like you're not on a podcast network. As far as I know, there's a manager, right? Like this is you doing, and you've been doing this for years. How long is casting for two been going on, man? Like 10 years?
Well, okay, so I've been podcasting for 10 years, and
Oh,
that was, all me. Again, but this show is 8. It's going to be 8 in July.
oh yeah. All right. Well, I was close, man. But still, that is, yeah. I mean, you get it entirely as far as like when you start. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna care about your career more than you. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody can maybe come, but like it's just instinctual. It's just we're animals at heart, and I just think that like we take care of our own first, and we kind of take care of ourselves first. And if you're in charge of your career, not saying you can't delegate, not saying you can't have people help you or learn from other people, but it's so frustrating, like you said, like, not, you feel bad having to blame somebody, or you just don't know what's wrong, and you don't learn from the failures because they're not your own, they're somebody else's.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and if there's one thing I can say is, I'll put that in my tombstone, is that failure is a good thing. That's how you grow. So I never want to be in a position where I know everything, because it's just like, well, what's the point?
No, I mean, you look at people too. If you don't grow up with enough, there are guys, there are girls, there are just people in general that come out and they're beautiful and great at everything, and that must be amazing. But I definitely think you are a more well-balanced person in the end. If you struggle a little bit in life, and failure, it sucks at first. It's frustrating. Sometimes you want to ball up, get mad, cry. I mean, you're embarrassed. Whatever, things happen. Dude. But like, yeah, I think like you said, failure is so integral to the process of success, because so many people who are successful, they're not usually like naturally gifted, or I mean, maybe they're gifted, but they're not usually like people that it came easy for them, right? There's adversity. You always hear in every great story, there's an adversity, there was something to overcome, and I definitely think failure is an integral part of success, no doubt about that. I mean, it's all part of the process.
So I'm never one for scoops or anything like that, and I've really enjoyed the songs that you guys have been putting out. But I gotta ask, is there one song you're really looking forward to people hearing?
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna say the next song that we're releasing. And you know what? I'm sure that by the time this airs, because we're gonna announce the song next week, right? So
this will be going up around that time.
Oh, okay, dude, perfect. Okay, so we have a new single that is going to release on July 1st. It's called "Wrong Tonight." I'm not going to say it's my favorite song on the album, but I'm going to say it means a lot to me. And I really enjoy it. I think it's a very good representation of the band's new sound. The reason that song means a lot to me, maybe a little bit more than some of the others, it's actually the first song that I wrote for the group. It's the first song that we wrote, as the new band, right? So, this was like the new lineup, and this was I bought a MacBook, and here I go. Like, I'm taking over as head songwriter, so to speak, now. And that was actually, I have like, footage. Jesus, I have a photo of me in my bedroom back when we were demoing this out, and I'm literally next to a pile of laundry with a crappy little desk from Amazon, and it's how my studio started compared to what it is now. And I don't know, that song, I guess, means a lot to me because it made me believe in myself when we demoed it out, when we took it to our producer Taylor, and he was like, I was like waiting for him to be like, oh, this sucks. I like the old band better. Dude, I'll say it. That was a concern, no doubt. And I want people to be like, oh, the old band was better. Like I live with that. Like I want people to like the new stuff. And so when we went with our producer, I was nervous. And when he heard my demo of this song and my demo of some of the other first ones that we wrote, he was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And I don't know, this song being the first one we wrote, it means a lot to me. It kind of helped me like believe in myself as a songwriter. I've always been involved in the songwriting in the past, but not on the level that I was with this album, completely kind of spearheading the instrumentals. And I just, for this, like, this song helped me believe in my ability to play a bigger role. Like, not saying play a role in the first album or any of the other bands. I mean, I played a role, but it's the band changed, the dynamic changed, and I had to step up, and Nikki had to step up hugely as well to front the band, and Chris became a member. So I don't know. I think, selfishly to me, this song means, hey, wow, it taught me to believe in myself. But I think to all of us as a group, it taught us that as well. I mean, we really kind of defied the odds when we wrote that song, and it came out as good as it did. And it kind of set the tone for the rest of the writing and recording of the album. And I don't know, I'm excited for people to hear it, man. Definitely, on July 1st, coming out, set in stone.
Nice. What was the hardest part about writing Wrong Tonight?
Well, yeah, dude, believing in myself, because it was more of a collaborative effort with our old singer, and our producer did a lot more of the writing on the first album. We had outside co-writers, like, like when I was writing this song, it was just me on my own. There was no co-writers. The old singer, somebody who I had worked with for 6 years in previous bands, was gone. So, yeah, standing on my own. And, props to him. He's a talented guy, and he's actually, praised the new version of the band. Not to go off on a tangent there, but, I do appreciate that from him. And there's really no blood there. But, when he left, obviously, I was like, all right, I got to step up. And writing this song was like, can I do it? Like, I was a freaking nerd that I am. And soon enough, when I had Nikki and Chris come over and they heard what I was cooking up, they're like, oh shit. And I don't know, it just felt natural. And everybody was just feeling so good when we wrote it. So I just think there are a lot of great memories attached to this one, maybe more than some of the others, where like, there are definitely songs on this album where they were frustrating to write, or like we had to rework them a couple times, or like, there was a point in the album where, we thought originally we were going to do an EP, and then we're like, we got to do a full length. And, at first it's like, all right, are we burnt? Are we stretching ourselves on ideas and digging deep and coming up with, good songs to finish it? I mean, there was a struggle there, but yeah, I don't know. This song Wrong Tonight is very special to me.
I'm certainly glad that, you found this sense of, being able to believe in yourself, and also that you guys just, are keeping the Thrill Chaser vibes going, because when I first chatted with you, I still listen to the old stuff, the first album, and I've continued to enjoy it. And then when the new stuff started, I was excited for the new stuff coming out, just because I'm a fan of you guys, and Nikki, her voice is just phenomenal, and I'm thrilled with everything that's coming out.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I can't even express, like, I don't even think she understands how much she nailed it on this album. She really stepped up. And yeah, I mean, we changed our sound a lot, but it's weird. Like, I really think if you listen to the first record, you listen to the second record, there is definitely, you can tell it's the same band. And although we've kind of given ourselves a big facelift and a lineup change and all the stuff that comes with, being in a band and hurdles you got to overcome, it's like, we didn't want to change the name. We still feel like this album is representative of who Thrill Chaser was and who we are going into the future. So it's, like I said, yeah, like to kind of come back, I think the hardest part in any of this was just overcoming like my inability, not inability, but just learning to believe in myself as a songwriter, and to play a bigger role and to pull it off. And when it was going well and loving it, and when it wasn't going well, not giving up. So that was kind of I think the hardest part of writing Wrong Tonight or any of the songs.
Gotcha.
But overcame, and we learned, all of us kind of learned to believe in ourselves, and we're definitely proud of what we came up with.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to hear all of that. And glad that you're finally releasing more music, and even more music. Do you, and this is just kind of a personal question, do you plan on ever putting out the songs that you're releasing, or the new album, on vinyl?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wasn't, and then a bunch of people, and now you have asked me, and I'm like, how can we not? Yeah, I'm a people pleaser, honestly. No, but seriously, like, you guys put like, you and the people who have mentioned it before have just nailed the idea into my head, and I'm just picturing that beautiful purple Thrill Chaser vinyl.
Yes.
Oh, I'm definitely, yeah, I'm gonna make it happen. We'll make it happen. I mean, it'll happen. There's gonna be too and stuff like that. We didn't want to come out of the gate and like print a bunch of t-shirts.
Right.
We wanted to put out some material first, and like, but there's all going to be an overhaul of merchandise, physical copies, vinyl. I would love to do like, windbreakers and all this stuff. So, I mean, it's all in our control, and we can make it happen. It's just kind of, like I said, I didn't want to just announce t-shirts before music. So,
well, you definitely keep me in the loop whenever that happens. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, because I want one. But Rob, thank you so much for chatting with me. Oh, for the people at home, of course, who want to keep up with everything that you're doing, pick up the singles, follow you online. I don't know. Do anything else? Where can they do all that?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so we're Thrill Chaser, all one word, no space between Thrill and Chaser. You look us up on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. We have 2 new singles out right now called, one is called Game, the other is called Fantasy. We'll be releasing a single called Wrong Tonight on July 1st. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Thrill CHSR. That's Thrill and Chaser without the vowels, CHSR. Yeah, I mean, youtube.com/thrillchaser, fully spelled out, facebook.com/thrillchaser. I think that about covers it, man. Thank you so much for having me on, Chris. I mean, I know I'm a bit of a rambler, but a lot to get off my chest. And as you can kind of tell, I've been holed up a while, but dude,
No,
it's up to, and I really appreciate you having me on because this is always one of my favorite, well, you know, since the last time we did it. And as we've communicated through marketing, this is,
yeah.
you know, you're one of the people to work with on this circuit. So dude, I appreciate you having me on.
No, I appreciate you because, you know, again, yeah, the first time we chatted, I was just this guy. Yeah, there's something. I don't care about the rambling. I like the rambling. I like people who like to talk. But yeah, I was just. I respect the hustle, just because it's such a rare thing in nowadays, you know, now that, you know, people can pay somebody else to hustle, but the own hustle, it's got to be respected.
Thanks,
And
man.
you know, I think you're a cool dude, and I wouldn't have asked you back if I didn't like what you were doing. So, you know, props to you.
Hey, thank you very much, man. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. But continue to stay safe and healthy, and we definitely will have to chat again.
100%, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to listening back to this when it comes out. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and thank you for having me on.
Of course, of course. But I'll let you go. You know, hopefully you don't have too busy of a day, or if you do, you know, have fun.
I'm just chilling. I'm very excited because I don't know if you're into Final Fantasy at all, Chris, but Final Remake Intergrade 7. I botched the title. Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade dropping at midnight tonight. I've got it pre-ordered. FF7's my favorite game of all time, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting into that tonight. So I've got pretty clear schedule ahead of me after this.
Okay, well then you have fun playing your Final Fantasy, all right?
I will, dude. Take it easy. Thank you again.
You too. Bye-bye.